Hey music fans, as a roadie I had this great opportunity to tour with all these bands. I wrote a book about my experiences on the road and it was the #1 new release on Amazon and Bios and it's now sold millions of copies on Kindle. I'm Joel Roadie and this is my podcast, Party Like a Rockstar. Wanted to log on to see something super awesome today. Got two things awesome. One, Tommy Johansson. Two, got a little bit of Led Zeppelin with Tommy Johansson. This should be awesome. Immigrant song is definitely one of my favorite Zeppelin tracks. Let's give this a go. Fun. That was super fun. I like that a lot. Okay, so I'll tell you guys a story. I don't think I've told this story. I know I've told it in interviews when I was doing interview stuff for my book, but I don't think I've ever told it on the podcast. So it's my Jimmy Page story, right? So there was a place here in Los Angeles off Sunset. It was called The Backstage, and it was a bar, and it was owned by the brother of the drummer of The Police. And so I was in there with my ex-girlfriend and a whole bunch of other girls, right? I was the only fella there, and Jimmy Page walks into the bar. And I'm looking like, whoa. At the time I was working for Guns N' Roses, so I felt pretty cool, but it's Jimmy Page, you know? So anyway, we're sitting at the table. There's a lady named Pumpkin Pie who I was hanging out with. She was a big promoter here in Los Angeles back in the day. So she gets up and she says, "Hey, Jimmy, why don't you come over to our table?" I'm like, oh, right? So anyway, Jimmy Page walks over, and I'm at the very far end of the table. He shakes everyone's hand but mine. Only reason was because I was at the far end of the table, but I was still thinking, like, I want to shake Jimmy Page's hand. It's the only time in my life I've been like, I want to touch his hand, be like, hey, man, how's it going? So we're sitting there, and my girlfriend, the time's just going on and on. She's blabbing about something. And I'm just staring, and she's like, are you even listening to me? And I'm like, no. I'm on Jimmy Page, hon. And she's like, I don't know who that is. I'm like, Stairway to Heaven. And she's like, she was a lot younger than me. I'm kind of thinking like, oh my God. So anyway, Pumpkin Pie and this other lady are chatting to him. And the other lady, I don't remember her name or nothing, but she's like, hey, I used to be one of your groupies back in the early 70s. And he gets up and leaves he was nice, but he gets up and leaves the table, and I'm thinking like, you scared off Jimmy Page, lady. Anyway, years later, I started writing with the guys from Toad the Wet Sprocket. And the ex-girlfriend was still a girlfriend at the time, right? We dated for a while, and she's like, Toad the Wet Sprocket? So with the guys from Toad, I always say, dude, you guys are bigger than Zeppelin. So there's my little tangential story. Hopefully it's not too random. I just didn't have a lot to say about the track other than I freaking loved it. There was little bits of changes here and there, and I took note of all of them. I've listened to the song a bazillion times. But I think Tommy rocked it. He showed his adoration for it. And I'll bet you he would have liked to shake Jimmy Page's hand too. Thanks, guys. I enjoyed that. I hope everybody's having a good weekend. I appreciate all of you. I look forward to seeing you all on the next one. Hey, the podcast is over. What are you still doing here? Well, while you're here, like and subscribe. Thanks.